all of my friends in the audience. Some of them came all the way up from the beautiful island of Manhattan. They wanted to see Taoiseach. You're going to see him on Saturday again, where he's going to be a very outstanding part of a certain parade. Pretty big parade, right? Pretty big parade. I also want to extend my welcome to the Director of Northern Ireland Bureau in Washington, Norman Houston. Thank you. Where's Norman? Where's Norman? Hello, Norman, who's been a friend and a great friend of the United States in his 11 years here. He spent 11 years, but he'll like this year the best. It's wonderful to see so many distinguished business people and society, civil society, leaders who are with us today from Northern Ireland. It's my great honor to receive this magnificent bowl of Ireland's famous Shamrocks. That's really nice. That is nice. Thank you very much. Wow. According to legend, St. Patrick, the patron saint of Ireland, used the shamrock to teach the mystery of the Holy Trinity 1,500 years ago. That's a long time. Now, many centuries later, the shamrock has become a symbol of something else as well. The long and beautiful relationship between the American and Irish peoples. That's a great story, and a story of the Irish is one of the proud and faithful people, full of love, warmth, grit, and resolve. That's the Irish. It's a story that is closely woven into our own. Our shared bonds are traced back generations and all the way to our nation's founding. At least 8 of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence were of Irish heritage. And throughout our history, the United States has been enriched by the vibrant culture and enduring contributions of the truly great Irish people, people that we love. Americans of Irish descent, and I can tell you that Mike is of Irish descent. Right? Karen? No? Yes? Karen, too. Wow. I knew I liked them both for a reason. But Americans of Irish descent poured their hearts into blazing trails, taming frontiers, and building our nation. They served in every war, fighting to win the revolution, secure our independence, and to preserve our union. And they gave their hard-earned pennies to build the legendary place I know very well, St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, such a beautiful place. Famous and so monumental. Really it is, and it's a true monument to enduring faith and the enduring faith of the Irish. From Walt Disney, which I didn't know, to F. Scott Fitzgerald, which I did know, countless Americans who helped shape our history and culture have roots that trace back to the Emerald Isle. So too have many of our predecessors in the Oval Office, from Andrew Jackson to Ronald Reagan. Today, more than 30 million Americans, over 10% of this country, think of it, trace their ancestry back to Ireland. 30 million Americans. That's why you have so many politicians. Even if they didn't like you, they'd say that. Too many, right? But they do love the Irish. Today, more than anything else, the Irish, they stand for strength and love and beauty, and they never give up, right? That's a trait. They never, ever give up. And the United States of America, and I say this having so many friends from Ireland, has truly been blessed with the luck of the Irish to have you with us. This week, as we celebrate the life of the Apostle of Ireland, we thank you, Taoiseach, for bringing us a bit of greenery and natural beauty from your country. I look forward to your return next year. In fact, we'll see you for about what, 7 more years, I think. Right? About 7. That's sort of an interesting concept, right? That's what's going to be. But I do look forward to your return. I look forward to you being here anytime you want, and that includes you folks. This is a very, very special group of people and a very, very special place, Ireland. Thank you all very much for being here, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, First Lady, Vice President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. President, on behalf of the Irish Government, I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to celebrate our National Day with the Irish diaspora here in the United States. For Irish people and for those of Irish descent all over the world, no matter where they happen to be, this is a time when we collectively celebrate who we are as a people. And nowhere is our day, St. Patrick's Day, celebrated more enthusiastically than here in the United States. Where there are, of course, 35 million Americans who claim Irish ancestry. So when you come from a country of 5 million, 35 million is a pretty big party. And on Saturday, Mr. President, I'm going to be in your hometown, in New York, where I'm going to have the honour of walking down Fifth Avenue in the world-famous St. Patrick's Day Parade. I think events like this, the White House reception, and parades around the country on Saturday remind us of the ties that bind our two countries together. They're ties that are rooted in our shared history. And as you said yourself, Mr. President, in the proclamation for the Irish-American Heritage Month, the tenacious Irish spirit, paired with American self-reliance, helped this country to become great. And that's a contribution that we're very proud of. The portrait of your first president, George Washington, looks down on us in the East Room. And President Washington called Ireland the friend of my country in my country's most friendless times. And his prayer was for the sun of freedom to shed its benign radiance on the Emerald Isle and bring her prosperity and peace. So I think for George Washington, we were the strangers who mustered around your flag. We supported the cause of American freedom from the very start, and we shed our blood to help make it a reality. And in the same way, the United States has helped to build modern Ireland, one that is prosperous and at peace, self-confident about our place in the world, no longer an island on the edge of Europe, but an island at the centre of the world. In my own office, I keep and I treasure a small collection of speeches and letters by one of your greatest presidents, President Lincoln. And sometimes when there's a crisis or a controversy and there's no obvious solution to it, I find wisdom in the words of that first great Republican president. President Lincoln believed, as he said, when we talk, we are only repeating what we already know. But if we listen, we may learn something new. As you know, President Trump and I had a very good meeting earlier on today, and I think by talking and listening, we both learned things that will help our two countries move forward together. President Lincoln was memorialized in verse for all time by the poet of your national imagination, Walt Whitman. And Whitman, writing about Ireland, described it as an isle of wondrous beauty, and our people as a people who weathered the storm to cross the Atlantic. These were men and women and children who found refuge and safe harbor in the United States. They chose the New World to escape oppression, hunger, and poverty, and endured the harsh and dangerous crossing of the Atlantic Ocean. They arrived in a new republic where they were given the opportunity to create a new future for themselves and their family. They were allowed to follow their dreams, and those dreams became American. And so the story of the Irish in America is very much as American as it is Irish. And today the Irish diaspora is found in every state, every city, every neighbourhood, every rural area in this country. They have prospered in politics and business and the arts, and in the service of the fellow Americans. And many are here today, including members of my own family from New Jersey. And of course, many Irish, as you know, serve in the White House today as well. So I want to thank you, Mr. President, for the really excellent meeting that we had this morning in the Oval Office. We had a really worthwhile exchange of views on important issues like trade and security and migration. And I know that the Irish people who've made their lives here, including those who are undocumented and living in the shadows, love this country dearly. They have the same dream as the men and women who inspired Washington, who fought for Lincoln, and work aside you today. And they want to continue to contribute to the life of this great country and continue to play their part. So I want to assure you all, Mr. President, that the Irish government will continue to work with you and your administration to find a solution to this important issue, and we're ready to do a deal. I also believe that Ireland of today can act as a bridge between this great country and the European Union. And more than ever, we can be a strong and effective partner for America. Our economic relationship, as you know, is increasingly a two-way street. Irish firms now employ 100,000 people across 50 states. And since you took office, Mr. President, 59 Irish companies have made new investments in this country. So we're bringing jobs, and good jobs, to America. And every single week, we trade about $2 billion in goods and services back and forth across the Atlantic. And we want that to grow. More trade, more investment, more jobs, going in both directions in a balanced and fair way. So in the spirit of the long and close relationship between our two countries and our two peoples, it is my very great pleasure to present this year's Shamrock Bowl to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you all.